Would you invest in yourself to see your life and your world transform in 60 days? Well, my client did when she signed up for my live 8-week course that just ended. And I'm going to read to you her testimonial and her experience in this video. I'm also going to expand a bit more on Everyone Is You Pushed Out and how your specific person is your creation. Hello, everyone. I am your muse, Tracy, and I am here to inspire you and empower you to live the life of your dreams, to create on purpose exactly what you want in all areas of your life, to stop settling and to stop suffering. You are not here to suffer. If that sounds good to you, you are more than welcome to subscribe to my channel. I offer one-on-one coaching and I offer group coaching, and you can find more information and details all about that in the description below or on my website. So you guys, I want to share this success story and testimonial from my client who just finished my live 8-week group coaching course all about manifesting your specific person. So let's get right into it. She writes, Tracy, you are genuinely one of a kind among the best transformation and manifestation life coaches I've ever had the pleasure of working with. Thank you so much. Thank you for giving me the insights I needed to transform my life. I feel more in touch with my true self than ever before. You taught me to embrace my role as the operant power and guided me from merely understanding the fundamental principles of manifestation to actively living them each day. If you had told me that my life would transform within 60 days, I wouldn't have believed it. The Manifest Your Specific Person program is exactly what I didn't know I needed. While it focuses on the SP, I gained so much more. I started a love affair with myself from the second week, and it had nothing to do with my SP. In fact, I became so engrossed in loving myself that I hardly had any time for him. This program became all about me as I worked on my beliefs and programming. I appreciated how the course was structured. It was thoughtfully designed and built upon the knowledge I gained from previous modules. The integration weeks allowed me time to manage the process and practice this upgraded way of being. Tracy, you helped me reconnect with who I was before my SP, and I'm so grateful to have rediscovered myself. I genuinely like myself again, and I'm finally having fun. I am eternally thankful. By the way, I just have to share this experience. I reconnected with a long-lost high school friend and attributed it to what I learned in this program, where we were inseparable back then, but lost touch after graduation. That night, while DJing with my sister, I told you about the fun I was having. I thought about him since we used to go clubbing together. We both loved house music. I realized I had no way to contact him except for an old work email address. I sent him a message, but it bounced back. Determined to find him, I asked my higher self for guidance, since he wasn't on any social media. Then, by chance, I discovered his phone number in my contacts, something I didn't even know I had. I texted him on Monday, but by Tuesday and Wednesday, there was still no response. On Thursday, I declared that he would reply to me and went about my day. Later that afternoon, my sister texted back saying, "You're never going to guess who's in my car." Whose car I'm in, sorry. She had just bumped into him and drove her home. This experience with my friend reminded me that we are all connected and highlighted the resistance beliefs I used to have with my SP. So I love this feedback and this experience that my client is sharing, because this course, this feedback for the course is exactly reflecting the intention that I had for the course, for all the participants, which is understanding it's totally fine if you come to all of this like law of assumption, Neville Goddard, because of a specific person. Totally fine. That was my experience too. But we can't make it about them. And it's not about them. The intention I had for the course and what my client is explaining is exactly what my intention was, is that it's all about you. You can manifest your specific person, no problem. They're the catalyst for you. They're the driving force. No problem. But it is all about you. And I really wanted to bring all of the participants back to this, that it's all about you. And that's exactly what she's talking about. So I couldn't be happier. So something that I spoke at length about in my previous video from 2 days ago, where I was talking about stop wasting your time. If you haven't seen that video, please go and watch that video. Stop wasting your time. And that's exactly what I was talking about. Stop worrying about external circumstances. Stop worrying about your specific person or anyone else. It's all about you. This is definitely something that my client learned and practiced during this 8-week course. And she has said so. She's so confident knowing that it's just a matter of time that SP is showing up in all the ways that she's aligning with. So she's living in the end of having her desire now, which is exactly the topic of my next live 8-week course. I'll teach you all about what it truly means to live in the end, what you need to clear out, and what you need to integrate so that you can practice living in the end for whatever it is that you desire to manifest. And you can master the art of being a conscious creator. Now, let's expand on everyone as you pushed out so that we can fully understand why it's all about you. And to kick off this part of the video, I want to read a quote from Neville. And this is a quote from his lecture, Life is a Dream. Everyone is responding to what we are doing in our imagination. There is no outside world that is really alive. It depends for its aliveness on the activity of man, who is a living soul. Man named the animals, the birds, the trees, everything. God became man as a living soul, but he had to forget he was God to become man. And now man has to become a life-giving spirit where he knows that everything is an imaginal activity, right? So your consciousness is the real reality. There is no real external reality that is of its own accord, that is of its own aliveness. Your consciousness gives it the aliveness. So you see, your specific person, like everyone else, is your creation. They are created from your imagination, and the version you experience is fully and only decided by you. There is nothing else going on. But you have to awaken to this, and then you have to upgrade your self-concept in order to see the highest and best in everyone. If you see any flaw in another, it's because that flaw first existed within yourself, right? So that's why, this is the mechanism of your mind. It's called projection. So you can only really see in another person something that first exists inside of yourself. And, this is not your fault. This is literally how our human brains function. But you want to start to understand this. Otherwise, you're caught in the illusion. You are caught in, the other person is. But you see, it's you saying the other person is. So you're caught in the illusion of projection, and your mind is giving life to this thing through a concept that you first hold about yourself. That's why it's important to upgrade your self-concept. You have to have a high concept of yourself to see a high concept of another person. You have to. It is a must. It is a fundamental starting place. And if you don't have right now the highest concept of yourself, I want you to have so much compassion and love and grace for yourself, because I can guarantee you with almost 100% certainty, you did not choose that. You did not choose that. Okay. So on top of not having a high self-concept, we don't need to feel bad about not having a high self-concept. That's why there's a level of acceptance in doing all of this work, a level of self-love and self-acceptance that is so important for you to cultivate in doing this work. Because otherwise, if you don't have that level of self-acceptance and self-love, as you are uncovering these things, like I'm talking about now, your self-concept, you will have a tendency to be hard on yourself. Oh, how could I think that about myself? Oh, why am I thinking? That's not helpful at all, at all, at all. The most helpful perspective is, wow, I notice I'm thinking some unlovely thoughts about myself. I wonder why I would do that. Well, okay, and you can spend some time trying to figure out why you would do that, but you don't need to really spend that much time or effort figuring it out. You can simply decide to make another choice while practicing self-love, self-compassion, and self-acceptance. Your programming is not your fault. Programming is created dominantly, mostly between the ages of 0 to 7. Again, not your fault, just the function of how the human brain works. It's a sponge. Everything goes in from age 0 to 7, and we absorb the environment. And even things that, are not super direct, we still, because we're children, make it about us. We don't have the ability to rationalize behaviors that feel not loving and not kind. We don't have the ability to justify all these things. We make it about ourselves because, again, we're children. We don't have the tools to do much of anything else at all. So these things, you absorb them, you take them in, the programming that is around you, what people say. But again, it's not always just what people say. It can be the indirect programming. It can be the treatment that you experienced. And again, you make that mean something about yourself. All of this is creating and making up, it's the foundation for your self-concept. Now, if your self-concept, like I said, isn't super high, I don't want you to feel bad about it. You are not your self-concept. Okay, it's some programming that's running, and you don't have to keep it around. I don't recommend that you keep it around, but you also don't need to blame and shame yourself for having it in the first place. It's not your fault. The best thing you can do is accept it because it's there. And you have to know where you are to get to your destination, your preferred destination. So if right now it's a not so great self-concept, then you know exactly what to work on. You know where to put your focus. Now, just like your programming isn't your fault, it's also not permanent. It's not permanent. It's completely changeable. And this whole concept of like, oh, it's hard to change your subconscious mind. No, it isn't. And also you thinking that it is not going to help you. Your subconscious mind is, by its inherent nature, programmable. Okay? So you can program it. It takes repetition. It takes emotion. Emotion is helpful. It's not just repetition, it's emotion. And also just deciding, here's what I now believe. And some things will change very quickly when you make a decision. Not everything does. But again, you intend and decide to change your subconscious beliefs in your subconscious mind. Let's stop putting these powers outside of ourselves. It's not. It's your subconscious mind. Are you telling me you can't change your subconscious mind? Well, that's a huge limiting belief. Yes, you can. And it's worth it to do it because your subconscious mind is responsible for creating 95% of what you see around you. So you can struggle to create with 5% your conscious mind and keep the old programming around in the 95% that, again, is not yours to begin with. It's probably not what you prefer, right? money doesn't grow on trees. Well, that's not actually what I prefer. That's just what someone told me when I was really young. That's not what you prefer, but still, if you keep it around, if you don't invest the time and energy to change your subconscious programming, that is 95% of what you're going to create with abundance and money in your reality. And you'll struggle with the 5% of your conscious mind to go against that. You don't have to do that. You can change your programming. It's completely changeable. It doesn't have to be hard. Stop thinking that it's hard. So if you see any flaw in another, it's because you first saw that flaw within yourself, right? You can't see in another person what you aren't aware of and you don't have inside of yourself. So everyone as you pushed out means they are your creation. There is infinite versions of everyone. And it's not just your self-concept, by the way. It's the combination of your self-concept and the concept you hold about them. I'm just talking about how your self-concept is going to influence dominantly what you think about them, right? Because if your self-concept is low, let's say you think in your self-concept, I'm not worthy, I'm not chosen, how are you going to look at them and say, oh yeah, they want me over everyone else? You won't do that. You'll go, I'm not chosen. You'll look at them and go, yeah, they're going to choose someone else, because that's based on what you think about you, right? So we start here. We change this. We need to have a high concept. We need to know I'm chosen. It's my reality anyway. I'm breathing life into all of this. There's no aliveness outside of my consciousness. I get to choose it all. So let me choose. I'm chosen. I'm wanted. I'm loved. And then when you look at SP, you go, of course, because you already believe it about yourself. You see? Again, you can struggle to see the version of SP that is choosing you before you change this, but it's not going to stick. You'll have to struggle. You'll have to really effort to see SP is choosing me, because again, you don't believe it about yourself. So you can muster the courage, or you can muster the sheer willpower, I've called it in previous videos, which is a lot of mental strength and fortitude. But you don't have to do that. You don't have to do that. And this is the thing that I want you guys to get. We're bringing you back to your true nature. Your true nature isn't you thinking that you're not worthy. That's not it. That's programming. That's someone else's stuff. That's someone else's stuff that went in, got lodged in there. You probably, got experiences that reinforced it. Okay, cool. It's still not yours and not your preference. And although it's not your fault, it is your job to change it. It is your job to change it, and you can change it, and it doesn't have to be hard. All right, you guys, so I want to wrap this up with a quote by Carl Jung. And this quote is very famous. I'm sure you've heard it before, but it is one of my favorites because it's exactly what I'm talking about here. Until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life, and you will call it fate. So until you consciously choose that which you prefer to experience, you will choose it unconsciously, and then you will call it fate or someone else's will, when really there is no such thing. All right, you guys, leave me a comment down below, and I will see you in the next video. Bye.